Hello, Planet Earth. Welcome to my YouTube channel. We're at IDK, my BFF Jill730.
My BFF
Joe?
730.
I'm Preston L. Young, wishing you warm salutations and congratulations. As always, you've made your way to the Buffington Post. Today I'll be taking a break from Buffy because it's time to talk about Game of Thrones Season 6, Episode 4, it's Book of the Stranger. Here we go.
You are invited.
This is not a game of the slackers. There are no gimmies, no do-overs, no lifelines, no hints. You play as a team, but be ready to betray everyone to be rich. The weak of will, the unsteady, the ones who make excuses, all will leave with nothing. And if you fail, I will tell the whole world you are the weakest link. Goodbye.
So the thing about this episode was every kind of scene and scenelet in between, when it opened up, they were all just kind of like, where are we going with this? And everything just kind of felt hopeless, not only for the characters, but just for the scene. Like, what are we going to do? Like, how is it going to force? And while a couple of things do kind of feel forced, overall, it all makes a pretty natural progression, and all of our characters make their arguments and come together, as it were, in a very real way that the show has made logic for, even if it, goes against book logic or whatever. It really does kind of all come together by the end of the scene. Like, we've accomplished something by the end of each one of these scenes, however mundane they began. But overall, I feel like this episode is all about people finally coming together, like people finally reaching one another, or finally making a peace with one another, or just finally going home and realizing who your real family is and what that really means. And so we start at the wall, and we've got like I got genuine feels from the very beginning of this episode. The whole Jon talking about how he was betrayed by his brothers and how bad that felt. And then here comes Sansa, and when they see each other, there's just, you can feel the relief. And these actors really do have great chemistry together. We've never really seen them interact on this kind of level before. And having everything that they've gone through and finally meeting up and comparing notes, you got the genuine feels. You felt like these characters did have like these weighty emotions for one another. And I mean, it's their last family members, and so I really did enjoy that. And I felt like when Sansa is telling Jon, like, hey, we need to step up and take back our home, like our only choice is to go back home.
Duh.
I feel like there were really strong parallels there to Catelyn and Robb in the way that relationship dynamic kind of worked. Sansa was the one urging him on and kind of telling him, this is right, this is wrong, the Lords will stand behind you. She's starting to feel so much more and more like Catelyn, and I do enjoy that, since we're not going to get Lady Stoneheart, ? It was interesting to see Mel bring up the idea of this prince that was promised, because, she's had her eggs in the Stannis basket until up. And so, now her faith is restored, and she's just gonna go and put her eggs in this Stannis basket, so whatever. And of course, you can't forget the awkward moment between Davos, Mel, and Brienne, wherein basically she's saying, I'm big and bad, and I haven't forgotten what you guys did to an innocent man, so, So then, in the Vale, I mean, it's pretty much just Peter being Peter, and it's fine, and it ends up being great because, of course, he's managed to get his claws into the Vale, and the Vale is going to send an army to Winterfell, and that's going to be very interesting, I'm sure. But I don't know, it was just more Peter being Peter. And the problem I have with this is with Sweet Robin. The problem that I have with Game of Thrones is not necessarily that they have these child actors, but because they're supposed to be in a certain mind frame to make the decisions that they make. The way that they deal with Sweet Robin is to just make him, like, more off in the head, if you know what I mean. It's just like, I don't know, he's so old that it seems ridiculous just from any standpoint that people would still be backing him. I don't know, it just, something about Sweet Robin just doesn't work for me, and I feel like it's not what they don't want to work for me, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. So then in Marine, I just want to say Missandei's like not pants thing is really cool. That's really cool. I don't know how your not pants exactly work, but they're like pants in the back, but then they're not pants in the front. Like, I don't know, it's crazy, but I like it. In Marine, we have a real conflict of interest, and it's not just with the slave masters, but it's obviously within Dany's, circle. And it's like what I was saying in the last episode about how, Tyrion can't really relate to these people, but he sure can talk. And you've got all of these different vantage points. You have Missandei and you have Grey Worm who are saying, yeah, but you don't understand the reality of how these people are going to behave. But Tyrion, you have to understand, he's not like Missandei and Grey Worm. Grey Worm and Missandei, they've been freed, but they haven't grown up being free. And so this freedom is there in theory, but they still are serving as servants. They aren't their own people, and they don't really have that upbringing of thinking for yourself. And Tyrion, being able to kind of think for himself, is a really good talker. He can talk his way around this whole issue, and being that's kind of shifty, it makes sense, and he is able to make sense of his arguments to Grey Worm and Missandei, and these people who shouldn't understand each other at all, because Tyrion is such a very smart individual, he is able to translate his kind of Western ideas into their slave mentality. So in Vaes Dothrak, everything between Jorah and Daario, again, they're people coming together, blah blah blah, but at the end of the day, it's just I don't know, something about them just seems cheap. Their scenes had redeeming qualities, but it just I don't know, they're just kind of my personal Sam and Gilly for Dany's watch, you know what I'm saying? So, I don't know. It just seems forced. I don't like it, and Daario is such an ass, and Jorah, and I'm bored with this grayscale. I don't know. And is anybody worried about there being some kind of grayscale epidemic in Vaes Dothrak? Because that just doesn't seem safe or sanitary. But whatever. And so, aside from that, we've got Dany, and I like that when Jorah and Daario come upon her, when she's already decided not to run away, she's told these people, I'm not going to run away. She actually is bringing these two parts of her world together, because sure, this Dosh Khaleen girl that was all buddy-buddy with her 2 seconds ago, she might not want to play with Dany and her knife-wielding friends, but she did. She was able to immediately reconcile these two very different worlds. Her Meereen-ish and kind of from the ground up world that she's made for herself, and also Vaes Dothrak and the whole Dothraki people. She's immediately merging these two worlds together. She's work with us. And so that, again, the scene started somewhere and it ended pleasantly. So in King's Landing, we get the whole High Sparrow and Marjorie thing, and he talks about how he wanted a taste of the life of the rich people, okay? So basically, it was a lovely speech, etc., but we basically just find out that, as far as the show goes, he's not Howland Reed, so there's that one. But I love Marjorie when she goes down and she finds Loras, her pride. She can't let go of her pride. She's like Cersei Jr. over here. She's so prideful, but actually seeing her brother already broken, it strikes her, and I like that. I liked everything that we saw between Loras and Marjorie. It really humanizes Marjorie, which is right where the Sparrow wants to put her, but it's good to see that. So I love when Cersei comes in and says basically fuck off, Pycelle. And one thing I will say about Pycelle, he's kind of a douche, but I love the clanking sound that his maester's chain makes. It literally embodies this physical element of what he's had to learn, and I like that about the maesters. I like that they have something physical to show for what they've done, which, whatever. So Cersei goes on and on about respect and Marjorie and High Sparrow and all this good stuff to Tommen, and we get to Cersei and Jaime and Olenna and Kevin. So basically, what I found to be really interesting is they're all family. Tommen has married into the Tyrell family, and so Olenna, who by the way, finally looks old. She's never really looked old enough to me as the way that she's depicted in the book, like in my mind. She's always looked really like old and frail to me in my book head, but she finally is starting to look old enough to be Olenna Tyrell. I like. But yeah, she's married to Olenna's family. Like, they're all family. And the best thing that they can do is appeal to that family nature. Cersei and Jaime tell Kevan, like, hey, your son Loras, he's all mixed up in this. We're all family. We have to serve family first. And I basically took that away from, everything in King's Landing, from Loras and Marjorie to everything going down with Cersei and Olenna. It all made a whole lot of sense, and it, again, brings these people together, but it does so naturally because it does have this kind of family reality to it. Pike, I'm bored. Theon wants to back Yara. Let's move on.
Screw you guys. I'm going home.
And just when you thought that Ramsay couldn't get even more evil, he killed Osha, and I had such high hopes for Osha. I was like, come on, Osha, get in there and kill some Boltons. But no, she's dead, bled out on the floor by now. I'm just wondering, why hasn't anybody poisoned the Boltons yet? I mean, when they came in, they basically took over Winterfell. They had to have taken over their cooks, too. Like, this whole Winterfell thing, I'm just like, why haven't you poisoned them? We're smarter than this, people. We've got ice zombies and, like, crazy dragons, and nobody can poison the Boltons. Ugh, it pisses me off. At the wall, we get the pink letter and all of the crazy weight that it bears, and I love Sansa here. Sansa just steps up. She steps up so hard, and again, she reminds me of Catelyn, and she's saying to Jon throughout this episode, let's bring the wildlings in, we have to go home and march for Winterfell, and now they really need to because their family is slowly reaffirming itself. Like, Rickon is there, they know where he is, and they have each other. Let's go build on this family. And I love Sansa here. I love everything going on in the scene. We get a little bit of Tormund. He's been eyeing Brienne, and I love that he's like, hey, the big girls need love too.
I wanna fuck.
Everything at the wall really worked, and it kind of stole the show a bit more than even Dany. So there's that. But of course, back at Vaes Dothrak, we have all of these men deciding who and what Daenerys is, which is so beyond her. I think, like, in my heart of hearts, Daenerys is really like a lesbian. I mean, I know she plays with Daario in the books, and she enjoyed Khal Drogo, but I think she might find out she's a lesbian. But anyway, these men are not going to tell her who she is. She's not going to be defined by anyone. She has all of these titles, but she basically stands up and says, I am the Unburnt, and, like, Debris. This was an argument that they were talking about on Philly Issues Guys video last night. Was, yeah, you're fireproof, but what about falling debris? And could you really guarantee that none of those guys would brave to attack you? That's a whole thing, but yeah, basically, everything is fine in this scene. She comes out, she's united the whole Khalasar, like all the mini Khalasars, great Khalasar, and it's Dany's show all over again. And it's like, I've been so frustrated with her whole storyline for so long, and now here she is, she's like, God damn it, remember me, Preston, I'm Daenerys. I do things, and they are big and flashy and important, and yes, I remembered you, Daenerys, so good on you. Although bad on the show because everything burnt, like her clothes burnt, whatever, her hair didn't burn, but the band in her hair didn't burn either, so I don't know how that works. But I just really liked this episode. I liked where the scenes all ended. I kind of was, again, not satisfied with the way they began. I was like, where are we going with this? But then as it went on, I was really satisfied. I feel like it's really bringing in a lot of the lore, and it's bringing in a lot of just big things coming forward. It's not like a crazy, big, epic episode. It's basically just putting more and more of the pieces at play in this Game of Thrones and allowing for those pieces to really show what they're worth. And that's all well and good, especially when the writing is this good. So I did like the episode. Let me know what you thought of the episode in the comment section down below. I only have 15 minutes, so I have to go. Have a great day. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Okay. My BFF. Joe 730.